Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to the season premiere, season 6 of the male soap opera moment, Booch's 5th season with the show and coming out in style and class. Both of us representing our own independent factions here. My faction looking to regain glory in the hours to come. Actually, let it be known, friends, listeners of Wenz World, this is being recorded well before SmackDown. So if something happens Friday night, don't shoot the messenger. Just shoot him instead.
Yeah.
But of course, we have the infamous, the one and only, the illegitimate son of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Vincent Kennedy Bucci.
Yes. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to be back for my 5th season. It's been stellar. I'll tell you, like ever since I got the call from Wenz and I walked into the building or that we call the old world, it's been awesome. It's been fun and it's been a crazy ride. It's nice to see somebody who's passionate about wrestling as much as I am. And I got a group of friends that are like that. You know, they can be a little crazy, but Wenz definitely has a take that I haven't seen. So something different. And I like that. So it's a lot of fun.
You know what? I am half-heartedly into this project, Booch, if you know what I mean. And what I mean by that, friends, is listen, I'm a dad. I have 2 kids. I'm married. So watching wrestling for me is kind of like it's hard to find the time. But when I do find the time, I do it. I chill on the couch. I got my beer in hand. I'm watching some good old-fashioned wrestling. Shout out to Rags to Riches Raggy and Marquis A. Davis 1. Season 1 of the male soap opera moment. I got to bring it back old school there, vintage TV. But no, it's great, Booch. This has been an absolute joy ride for me. And when I do get a chance to sit back with that beer and catch up, it's great because it's cool. It reminds me of the good old days, which is what Triple H is doing. He's bringing it back to glory. And I love the different camera angles and the ability for certain wrestlers to kind of show their gift sets, right? Because each one is gifted it differently and uniquely. And you finally have leadership that can put all these pieces together. And all these pieces expect to be taken apart because the rules are extreme in some cases. This weekend, we're going to talk about that Saturday nights when it's all going down. And Booch, the first match that I think we both want to talk about here are the ladies behind us. You have the EST, the greatest, the strongest, the fastest, the best of WWE, Bianca Belair, taking on a new look, fresh look Bayley. And I gotta tell you, Booch, her as a heel is way better than her as a face. And it's rubbing off on me. I know this is one of those takes that you don't understand. It's so different than you and your kinfolk over there at the Booch La Rosa. But I'm all in on Bayley. I'm all in on Dakota Kai. I'm all in on Io Sky. So let's talk about this match. This is going to be a huge match. Bayley wins this match. She's the new champion. And how great would it be for Bayley to win the Raw Women's Championship when Dakota Kai and Io Sky are already tag team champions?
Yeah.
This is a moment that WWE can seize to really express all of the glory that this faction can bring.
Absolutely. And I for one am blown away with how great Bayley has been. As she's so great as a heel, I almost forget her babyface gimmick. It almost feels like ancient history. Like if you try to explain to people what Bayley was in NXT, you wouldn't believe it from seeing her now. Hell, even with Alexa Bliss, you wouldn't believe her old gimmick in NXT. It was. If I showed it to you, your jaw would be on the floor like, that's not Alexa. Yes, it is. So I love the transformation from Bayley. I love that she's coming to her own. She's embraced it. She had a little bit of a wonky feel when she first got into it, but now she's committed. She's embraced. I think the time off really helped her develop the character more. And now they call themselves Damage Control, and she's in full control of this gimmick. And I'm excited for this match, except for one thing, and that is they decided to make this a ladder match.
What's wrong with that?
The fact that, here's why. It should be an I Quit match, and I'll tell you why. Because before Bayley got injured, that was the match they were supposed to have at Money in the Bank. I think it was a year ago. They were supposed to fight in an I Quit match for that title, and Bayley got injured. She's been gone, and they had to replace her. I think they replaced her with Carmella and dropped the I Quit gimmick
That's right. That's right. I
So
forgot all about that.
yeah, so they were supposed to have an I Quit match, and this is the perfect time to do it, especially if Bailey's going over. It would be a great opportunity. Something great. The only logical thing I come up with is I think Bianca's on such a roll, they don't want her to say I quit. I think it's the only logical thing I can come up with. And because why else would you not deliver on the I Quit match you promised a year ago, unless you're, and as they're like, somebody's going to forget. I'm like, they didn't forget. Right, they're doing it.
You didn't.
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm talking about in the writer's room. There's no way they forgot that.
They don't even have the same writers in the room anymore. That's the thing. They just hired a comic book writer to be the lead storyline developer. Did you hear about that? I'm not joking. Like
a comic book writer?
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It was on LinkedIn. Like it's
dang.
They're posting all their new hires and stuff. Yeah, it's all over the place. So I like that though, because comic books like this characters on the story or in the story are comic book characters.
Yeah.
So maybe they can bring out some more succinct dialogue, less words, more punch.
That's yeah. And also they got to have a love for wrestling as well. Like that's the blend that you need to have in a writer's room is you can't have too much of one side. You got to have people who know wrestling, but also know television and storytelling. Like you need that blend because there's some people who know wrestling, but can't write for TV. And as we've seen before, there's plenty of people who write for TV, who know how to write TV, but know nothing about wrestling. And both are incorrect. So I think the comic book guy, we'll see how he does. But either way, so we're having the ladder match. And honestly, if I had to look at this, I got a feeling Bailey's going to win just for the simple fact there's no pinfalls or submissions involved. And you've got their respective friends and their corners and cohorts and everything, which it's a no disqualification match. So it's basically going to be a clusterfuck, for lack of a better term. This is going to be you might as well make it a 6-person ladder match and only 2 people can win. That's pretty much what this is going to be. They're all going to end up fighting each other. It's going to be disorganized. And then at some point, Bailey's going to climb the ladder and grab the belt. And that's how I see the match going.
Yeah, for me, it just comes down to, is it the time to pull the trigger on damage control? You know, like, is this the time to make everybody in that faction a champion? Yeah, it is.
It is.
Because you only have a window. You have a window. Bianca, what's she been champion for what? Almost a year?
Yes.
9 months, maybe? I don't know, something like that. So to me, it's like we've all seen she'll be back. So I'm not worried. They haven't cheated her. Like they cheated her at SummerSlam, but she got hers, and they brought her back into success and glory. And she's gonna listen. She'll be fine. But now's the time to seize this opportunity. Now that Bailey's getting over, and I'm not an easy win when it comes to heel turns and face turns. Like you got to make it believable. And you're right that there was that initial weirdness. But wouldn't it be like that? And maybe some of that's our weirdness trying to embrace the new Bailey, you know, because it was a big switch. So for those reasons, I think damage control controls more damage, and we see them as the winners through Bailey in this match. So I got Bailey by any means necessary.
Me too.
I would consider possible interference in this match by Charlotte Flair. We could see it. I'm just going to throw it out there. We could see it.
Well,
to get involved later on. Just saying, she could just weasel her way in and then right on out. Where's the trepidation there?
Well, first of all, everybody know, I'm not going to go. We already know that I hate that person, want them to burn in hell. But my point is,
which one, Bailey or Bianca?
Charlotte. But my point is, but with Charlotte, here's the thing. I already know she's out for an indefinite amount of time because her husband, Andrade El Idiot, is been on social media talking about pretty much his disgruntledness with AEW. But he did mention at one point in the interview that Charlotte is still going to be out of action for a period of time. He didn't say what the reason was, but I know she's had some nagging injuries. I know they got married. I don't know what the other reason is, but Charlotte's still taking time off, and take all the time you need.
Well, that's very sweet of you, Booch.
Yes, I couldn't be any sweeter with that. Take all the time you need.
You know what? But also, if you wanted to come back, Charlotte, you're welcome to come back anytime. I'm okay with that. I really, really am okay with that. I also feel like I'm holding Bianca Belair's hand right now when I was doing that. It was a little weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's okay, Bianca. You'll get the title back.
You'll be okay, Bianca. Just don't smear that lipstick. I don't want to have to explain that later. That'd be weird.
Yeah, that's pretty purple.
Booch, storyline, Dominic, Judgment Day, Edge. Is it coming to a head? Is this the match that's going to bring this thing? Is it the zit that we can kind of see the pus like toward the top? Is it there? Can we pop that sucker and move on? I want to know, because an I Quit match should do it. It should be enough. It should be enough. I quit. I'm done. Right? So who's going to say I quit, in your opinion?
That's going to be the tough part, because I'm like, of all the matches to give the I Quit match, they give it here, which again, it's going to be the end. An I Quit match, not 99% of the time, ends a rivalry. An I Quit match, unless there's some controversy surrounding it. It's like the rare moments have been like The Rock and Mankind wrestled well after their I Quit match, and Cena and Orton wrestled a little bit after their I Quit match. So, but for the most part, an I Quit match should end it all at that point. There's no reason to continue after that. Plus, this thing has been, this Edge is, the Judgment Day thing's been done to death with Edge. It's like, look, you've already won this match here. You've won this match here. I feel like in this match, nobody wins. Honestly, because if Finn Balor says I quit, adios to the Judgment Day, pretty much. If Edge says I quit, then he's going to have to take an even longer time off than he already took, because I don't know how he can say I quit and then move on to another feud or whatever. So I don't know how they've locked themselves in a situation where I feel like no matter who wins, everybody loses. I don't see how they recover from this. Maybe they'll shock me, but I don't know where the recovery is. And it's really hard for me to make a call here. So I'm rolling the dice, and I'm going to go with Finn Balor, just the simple fact that he needs this win for the Judgment Day to thrive, because they have been losing a lot. So, and if you want this to be taken seriously, especially with Dominic Mysterio coming in, and I'm waiting for that name change, and I thought we were getting it this past Monday when he said, "Oh, I'll tell you who my daddy is, and it's not Rey Mysterio." I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? And then he just took it nowhere. I don't know what's going on with Dominic. He took it, and then it's like he's really trying to bring that inner demon out, but it's like, I'm not feeling it right now. Maybe it's like I said before with like Bailey and that awkward transition. I think Dominic's going through it, and the whole Rhea Ripley whispering in his ear, that's not helping. It's just, it's all getting ridiculous. Like I want to see like more aggression from Dominic. I feel like he's smiling a little too much. I'm not feeling the anger.
Yeah.
Like, like I want to see like hate in his eyes, like rage in his voice. Like, you lied to me. You told me, I found out you're not even my biological dad. Eddie was my dad. And I had to find out from him. You couldn't even tell me yourself. Like, because that's the scene when Eddie revealed it. And then Ray was on his knees, his son. Keep in mind, Dominic's like 10. He's like a child asking his dad if it's true. And Ray's like not even able to look at him. And then the kid runs away. Like, you can feed off so much anger from that.
Yeah.
And how like he had to carry that anger. And how I've carried this anger for over a decade, almost 2 decades. And just get angry about it. Like, if anything, it can help Ray become sympathetic. Because Ray right now is being sympathetic, and Dominic's giving him no leeway for it. It's literally just Ray being a dad, but like Have Ray like humble himself and be like, I should have told you, I'm sorry, all this other stuff. And Dominic just doesn't want to hear it. Like, because then it gets Ray more sympathy, it gets Dominic more heat. But right now, Dominic's trying to be a cool heel. This is not the time to be cool. This is the time to be angry. This is the time to be pissed off. You got to, like I said, you just found out that the guy who's raised you is not your real biological dad. I mean, he's your dad because he raised you. And your biological dad is somebody else. And to top it all off, he died a year after that feud. So you can channel all that up. Like, Eddie was my real dad and I never got to know him or really got to talk to him about it or whatever. Like, there's so much they could pull out of this and they're choosing not to with Dominic. So that's really what's bothering me about the feud, is that I feel like there could be more to this story.
There could also be less oil in this beard edges here. Very concerned. We'll talk about that later if we get
that's
who is your take on who's your pick?
Finn Balor.
You got Finn. All right.
I got Finn.
I'll give you my pick first and then a brief synopsis of what you said, which is extremely bullseye, right? Double bullseye, bangarang. I got Finn Balor. Like, Edge loses nothing by losing this match. He's just a token guy anyway. He's just there to nurture this dying storyline, which, again, you're right. This should be the end of it. I quit. Whoever quits or doesn't quit, whatever, it's a wrap. To me, you're dead on with Dominic. He seems like a less cool little Nicky. You know what I mean? Like his big brothers are like, oh, you need to toughen up, blah blah blah. And he's just like, all right. I mean, Rhea's telling me something. Like, what is she saying to? Like, okay, let's play it out. Kayfabe, right? What is she whispering? Like, what she's whispering should, like you said, make him rage. Like, like remind him. And then she does like and then she turns to the camera. Like, it's almost like she's acknowledging that she's manipulating him, but openly doing it and not like changing her facial expressions when he looks back at her. And like, if you're going to tell a story, I need to know what the mark knows. Like, I need to know exactly how much of your deceitfulness is known to him. Like, does he, because it seems it's like all on the table. She's not really playing him because he's 100% cahoots with what she's saying in front of him and behind him. Yeah. So I know it's like a deeper take. Yeah. Those are the things I look for. And if they're telling the story accurately, this is not the end of the match, because you said it. They haven't even hit the punch yet. Unless they do it in a pre-match package at Extreme Rules, or they do it before Extreme Rules. Like, I don't see it happening. So I think they're going to drag this out for at least another couple months. Yeah, I got Finn, but they need to do something. I think this match right here is more of a Dominic and Ray expose, because we're going to see it. It's going to come to a head. It's, I don't think it's going to be the end of it, but it's going to come to a head, and then hopefully they'll be able to pop it soon. But because it hasn't come to a head yet in terms of all the knowledge and insight, it may come to a head on Raw. Who knows? They may have the match, and then they have the talk on Raw, and then we can officially move forward. Or they have the talk, and then it's the match that we've been waiting for, Dominic versus Ray, because that match is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So I think we're going to see more of Dominic and Ray camera on them than we are of these two. And I think that's the whole point of this match, is to make it about Dominic and Ray without making it about Dominic and Ray.
Absolutely.
And then there was a strap match, which you were talking about this rivalry before it was an official rivalry. You said we may see Drew versus Karrion Kross, K squared. And here we are. And are you excited about this match? I'm having a hard time really like buying in. Am I the only one?
No, here's the thing. Well, the reason I thought I knew we were going to see this rivalry was I was under the impression that especially if Drew won the championship, if Drew had won at the Castle, that this would probably lead to eventually, I thought Karrion Kross was going to want the winner of that match. I didn't know he was going to specifically go after Drew McIntyre. Maybe he wants to get Drew out of the way so he can't get any more title shots. I don't know. What I do find the most weird is they chose to make this a strap match. And
why is that weird?
Because I don't know why they would need that. I've never seen a scenario where anybody's like where it's like a hit and run attack or something like that. It's like, oh, you keep running from me. Now you can't run. I didn't feel that. I've seen attacks from behind, but never really cowardly running away. There's never been that scenario with Karrion Kross where he was a coward and he walked away. It's just been Scarlett playing the mind games or whatever. So it just felt weird. So, and the other reason I'm weird about it is because lately WWE has been dropping the ball with their strap matches. Every time there's been a leather strap involved, because they're changing the concept of what a strap match is supposed to be.
What is the concept? What is it supposed to be, and what is it now?
Basically, the only is that you have a leather strap, and they're bound, and one guy's got one wrist tied, the other guy's got another wrist tied, so you can't go nowhere. And the objective of the match is supposed to beat your opponent senseless and drag him to all four corners. But you have to do it in a row. Okay. Like if you touch 3 and the guy pulls you away, you got to start all over again.
Okay.
And that's the concept of strap match. And that's been the case with bull rope matches or chain matches, because it's basically the same concept, except there's a bull rope or a steel chain like Cena and Rusev did, or the bull rope matches that Dusty Rhodes used to do. Like that was the concept, touching the 4 corners. Now it's like it's pinfall or submission, just beat each other to death with a strap. That's not what a strap match is. So that's another reason why I'm not excited for it. Because the 4 corners thing, A, makes the match different from everything else. And B, if you don't want somebody to get pinned or tap out, again, it's a way to protect people. That's why I love matches that don't involve pinfall or submission. Because it can keep a rivalry going if you wanted to, or let you get a victory over somebody without burying the other person. There's no pinfall, because then you can say, oh yeah, like you didn't pin or tap, you never pinned me, you never made me tap out, you just climbed out of the cage. You didn't pin or make me tap out, you just touched a bunch of corners. You didn't pin or make me tap out, you just climbed a ladder and grabbed a belt. Congratulations. And it gives you an excuse to continue a rivalry if you want to, as opposed to just saying you got pinned in the middle of the ring or whatever, or tapped out or whatever. So that's why I love the concept of the strap match, and they just completely changed it. So that's the only reason why I'm not excited for it. If it was going to be a 4-corner thing, I'd be more excited. But as far as who's going to win, oh boy. Triple H strikes me as a logical booker. So I think he would go the logical route here, and that is give it to Karrion Kross, because Drew McIntyre gains nothing from this win. He lost to Roman Reigns. He's saying American Pie in the UK. I'm only reminded because my boss talked about it yesterday.
Did you tell them that we were talking about how ridiculous that was?
Yeah, I did. He laughed. He couldn't believe it either. But so we're doing all this, and now if he beats Karrion Kross, then what?
Right.
He's gonna get another title shot? No, he ain't. Drew's in the back of the line at this point. So I think the logical thing is to go with Karrion Kross, who is one of the few people left that's actually credible enough to beat Roman Reigns. And it's a small list.
Yeah, so I mean, why not? Why not?
So I'd say give it to Karrion Kross. He needs to win.
Well, not only that, but this is his first pay-per-view appearance as his return, right? So
yes.
It makes sense. And like you said, on the other side of the coin, what is Drew in line for? Again, he's just a token player right now until they figure out how to fit him in. They just have too much talent. That's the problem with WWE. And they don't have enough shows to book everybody appropriately.
Exactly.
It's a good problem to have, but there's also bad consequences to that. And one of them is having to have somebody like Drew McIntyre lose just because, you want to put this guy over. Like, I understand the point behind it, but I also, if I'm Drew, I'm growing a little impatient. And he might be about the money, real talk, apart from storyline here. He might just be about the contract, and he's like, hey, I'm getting paid. I don't care. Listen, this is a job, like whatever. Or eventually, like a lot of his comrades, he may take it on down the street to AEW and say, you know what, they're willing to guarantee that I can have a reign. Like this is important for me. It's like into every other sport, right? This is sports entertainment, but some wrestlers, man, just like athletes, eventually it becomes about the title. You get that great deal, but you haven't won it yet. You want to win a championship. Like that's your whole, since you were a kid, that's why you started shooting the ball or whatever you're doing, hitting the puck, whatever it is. And so for me, it's like, is he one of those guys? I mean, because in AEW, let's be honest, he would be a front runner. I mean, it would be like instant. He'd be up.
I'd like to believe that, but there are so many guys that have come in and they get a hot shot on TV for a couple of weeks. Next thing you know, they're on their YouTube channel wrestling. Like they have not done a very good job with a lot of the guys they brought in.
Well, they would have to have a plan in place, right? And guarantees for him to budge because Drew
would have to be like, what's the plan? Yeah. What is this? What is your plan? Because I've seen so many guys come in here and they're just, the truth is they were so happy to be away from Vince and to have creative control and freedom that they didn't even care that I'm only on TV for a couple of weeks. And next thing you know, I'm on Dark and Elevation on the goddamn YouTube channel while a dude and wearing shades and denim is main eventing your show. Like that's, I want to vomit all over my keyboard just thinking about it. So I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, so don't do that. They're expensive. Don't do that.
Exactly.
But I mean, I got Carry On Cross. You got Carry On Cross, right?
Yes.
All right, on to the next one. And then there was the Donnybrook match. Am I saying that correctly? Do I need to put some more Scott into my voice there? It's the Imperium versus the Brawling Brutes. Let me snarl a little bit there. The thing about this one to me is, again, this is a non-title match. It's a pride match, right? So you have Gunther, who's representing Imperium, and he's not going to get pinned in this match. There's no way.
No.
But Imperium is probably going to lose this match. I think this is a way to push the storyline, to help propel the Brawling Brutes a little bit forward, to give them more face time. And I also think even if Sheamus, whether Sheamus wins or loses this match, it doesn't matter. His loss at the last pay-per-view was his biggest win recently. So at the end of the day, with all that said, there was a lot of back and forth talk there. Just to be clear, I'm taking the Brawling Brutes to beat Imperium in this Donnybrook match.
Yeah, I like the Brawling Brutes. It was cool to see Butch and Ridge Holland on NXT this past Tuesday. They were trying to get the NXT tag team titles from Pretty Deadly, which if they get called up, y'all gonna love Pretty Deadly. For those who listen to the Male Soap Opera Moment, if you don't watch NXT, I know Wenz is not an NXT guy, which is fine, but if Pretty Deadly gets called up, oh my God. The conversations Wenz and I are going to have on this show is going to be insane. And you're like, and you're probably sitting there going, Booch, are they really that crazy? All I can say is, yes, boy. There's your hint. Anyway, when I look at this rivalry here, on the one hand, I feel like Sheamus could win the Intercontinental title. Again, we're taping this before SmackDown. I feel like Sheamus could win the title here because I feel like after that hellacious match, Sheamus is going to need a win somewhere. And I think Gunther's been so dominant with the title that I think a loss to Sheamus wouldn't be that big a deal unless they want to take it to Survivor Series and have him face I think Bobby Lashley's still the U.S. champion. Last time I checked.
He defended and won against Mustafa Ali.
Yes. So unless they want to have Gunther versus Bobby Lashley, maybe they'll do that. Or they might want Sheamus versus Bobby Lashley. Who knows? At Survivor Series, which I think is next month. It's not the next pay-per-view, but it's next month. So it depends on where they want to go with that. But this is the first big return for Imperium since they called up Giovanni Vinci, and they're letting him be called Giovanni Vinci, which I think is interesting. They're not bringing him back to they're not calling him Fabian Eichner anymore, which I thought was interesting, which I thought was weird, but whatever. Because it's weird to see him as Giovanni Vinci and not doing the Giovanni Vinci gimmick. Like, if you're going to make him go back to being Imperium, you might as well give him his old name back, because Giovanni Vinci doesn't fit with that, but that's just me. Either way, Imperium is a dominant faction. They were one of the most popular factions in the UK. I know they were the faction in the UK. They had great rivalries when they came to the States. And I feel like on the main roster, there's more they can do with them. So I'm going to go with Imperium to win this. I don't think Sheamus or Gunther is going to get pinned, but I do think Imperium's going to win. I think if anyone's going to eat the pin, it'll probably be Butch.
Well, now you kind of put some thoughts in my head. So if Sheamus wins the IC championship, is all of your opinion predicated on Sheamus winning, or is that?
That's part of it, but the other is because Imperium's a more serious faction and they've just gotten back together like a month ago. So this is their first return as a 3-man team. It used to be 4. 3-man team. I feel like they're going to get the win over the Brutes.
All right. On to the next. And then, of course, you have the master of fight pit matches, Seth Rollins, a self-proclaimed master. I mean, I believe him. With a laugh like that, how can you not believe him? Also, his outfit on Raw, the pink and purple, that was just epic. It was epic. Awesome. This match to me is going to be a super awesome match. We deserve it. Seth got the win at Castle, right?
Yes.
Is this going to, in your opinion, I'll give you mine first. I think we're going to see a best of 3 here. I don't think it ends at Extreme Rules. It shouldn't, right? So for the reasons that I just stated, I believe that the broest of bros, 420, Matt Riddle, is going to beat the master of the fight pit match, Seth Rollins, at Extreme Rules. That's my take.
Well, I don't know where Seth Rollins got the idea in his head that he was the master of the fight pit, because there's only been one other fight pit match in the history of WWE, and it was down in NXT, and Matt Riddle was in it. In fact, Matt Riddle was a focal point of where that gimmick came about because of his MMA history. And he was going up against a guy who now wrestles in NWA, Timothy Thatcher, who, in my opinion, I cannot believe they let him go, because he had a good gimmick. He reminded me of like an old school wrestling trainer. And by that, I mean, like, he literally would have students, and he would just basically teach wrestling moves while stretching them in the ring, which is literally what an old school wrestling coach used to do back then. When you would go to a wrestling school, the first thing they would do is like throw you in the ring, beat you up, and stretch you, like put you in submission holds and because their goal was to try to run you off if you weren't serious about the business. Sure. After they beat you up a couple of times, once they realized, okay, he's serious, then they started training you. And then when they realized you have a future in this, that's when they would smarten you up and go, okay, this is a work. Right. Now we're going to teach you. Now you've learned how to fight. You've learned how to wrestle. Now we're going to teach you how to pull and do working stuff. So the fact they got rid of him was sad, but their fight pit match was great. Kurt Angle was the guest referee. Now the difference was when they did the first fight pit, it was during the pandemic when there were no crowds and pretty much everything was taped. So I'm intrigued to find out, now that we have audiences for this one, how are they going to get the fight pit in the building? Because there's no ropes. It's a cage. There's no doors. It's literally a pit with like a cage up atop, and you're in there and it's a fight. It's like an octagon with layers. So, because they literally make it look like a pit, like you're in a pit below the ground, but you're not below the ground, but it's low enough to where you feel like you're below ground. And Matt Riddle, as an MMA guy, this is his match, basically. And I love to bring in Daniel Cormier to be the guest ref from the UFC. He was, especially because Daniel was in the main event of the last UFC fight I ever watched. And for reasons I mentioned on the regular guys when Larry and I were on the fan too, I mentioned my reason why that was the last UFC fight I ever watched. But I'm intrigued to see how this goes, but I have a strong feeling Riddle's going to win. And also I want to say, I love how personal this has gotten. Mm-hmm. I really do. Seth's promos are the best they've ever been. And he, I feel like, is bringing a more aggressive side out of Riddle.
Yes.
And this is me taking my hatred for Riddle out of the equation. Riddle has finally, Seth Rollins is like, okay, I'm going to be the person that helps Matt Riddle reach puberty. I'm going to help Matt Riddle put some man and bass in his goddamn voice and stop being idiots. And we're seeing it before our eyes. Matt Riddle is putting the big boy pants on, and he is finally like, I'm going to kill this guy. And I think if he can keep that. He said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to end you. Like, that's who Matt Riddle needs to be. Okay? And it took Seth Rollins basically shooting on him, telling him, hey, your wife left. She took the kids. They don't want to see your bitch ass anymore. And he keeps drilling that point home to where Riddle finally has to battle back. And sometimes with certain guys, as bad as this sounds, sometimes you got to cross that line to bring that side out that you know is there. And most veterans know that. Like, you're going out there going, bro, and I'm so cool, man. And Riddle, you're a jerk. Aw, like, dude, don't be saying that crap. Like, literally, people would make fun of him. He would go, aw, like, you hurt my feelings. Like, fuck you. Like, no. But then you guys like, yeah, they don't want to see your bitch ass. I'm gonna fuck you up. Boom. There we go. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, if you see Seth smiling, that's him smiling, going, all right, now I can make some money with this.
My favorite moment from Monday, the go home before Extreme Rules, was like when Riddle had the mic and he was just like, Seth, you came in second to Roman, came in second to Becky, and now you're going to come in second to me. And it was like, it hit Seth in this play. You could tell, like, his character was like shook by that. Like, he went from this place of elevation in the ring of like dominance to instant, like, that hit him in such a hard place because he realized, hey, Seth, when's the last time you had a title reign? And it was like, oh, and it was a moment of like clarity. And it wasn't like, whatever, Seth, when's the last time? It was like, so Seth. It was that cool. It was still the cool, calm demeanor, but it was just different words.
Yes.
But he even said, I'm going to kill you, it was like, and I'm going to kill you. And it wasn't like, I'm going to kill you. He doesn't need to do that, because when a calm man says, I'm going to kill you, like, that is more deadly to me than somebody saying, I'm going to kill you. Like, okay, sure, whatever. That's the thing. And you're right. He needed somebody like Seth Rollins to bring it out of him. And that's what the storyline's going to do. And it's going to come to a head. But like you, I'm going with Matt Riddle to even the score before their third match. Saved the best for last. The Live Life Booch, she will maintain her championship. That is my take. And the reason she will is because anything goes. It's Extreme Rules, man. She doesn't have to be a wrestler. She could be a Brawling Brute. She could be in a Donnybrook match, for all we know, with Ronda Rousey. Unless it's Ronda's time, no matter what the forum and format is. My take, bitch, is that Liv Morgan wins this match. What's yours?
I'm stuck. God help me. Because I want to say Ronda. But like we said before, there's weapons. There's anything goes. And do they want to put the belt back onto that quickly? Because here's the thing. I don't know if Liv is delivering as champion with the crowd as much as they wanted to when I'm looking at it. I have seen lately, Liv has gone crazy. They've done the thing where taking out Lacey Evans with the kendo stick, and then putting her through the table and basically showing she can get extreme. So I will give credit. Liv is doing her part to build this match and show the aggressive side we need to see instead of the crybaby we've been seeing for the last couple years. Like, okay, we get it. You're happy to be here. You're an emotional person. I get it. But okay, it's time you're about to enter an Extreme Rules match. The crying Liv ain't gonna work in this. So the fact that she's showing this aggressive side to her is helping to build the story. Ronda, she's doing her part, like always. And Ronda, the thing about Ronda is she doesn't really have to do much. And she hasn't really done much. Because Liv is the one with something to prove. And that's the interesting thing about this match. Liv is the champion, but she has something to prove. Because both of her victories have been flukes. Fact. I mean, that's not even me being a jerk. I'm stating facts here. Think about it. She wanted Money in the Bank, kicking the bad leg and rolling her up. She got the win at the pay-per-view following that. I can't remember. It was SummerSlam, yeah. Where she had the armbar and then the pin, but that's only because Ronda pinned herself. But Liv tapped out before the pinfall happened, but the ref didn't see the tap out. So again, fluke victory. So if Liv is going to win this match, if Ronda's not getting any more title shots after this, then Liv needs a definitive victory in the sense that she picks up a blunt instrument, knocks Ronda the hell out, 1, 2, 3. Which in this case would be legal because it is Extreme Rules. But it also gives that advantage. So I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm gonna save myself here, and I'm gonna go with Liv Morgan. But if Ronda wins, I'll be okay. But I got a strong feeling they're gonna keep it on Liv because, like I said, there's weapons involved in everything. So there's gonna be something that happens that causes Liv to win this match.
Weapons of mild to moderate destruction involved, and that's the difference. I mean, that's it. I mean, we all know, but knowing in wrestling doesn't matter. Like, what are they doing with these characters? We all know in real life, Andre the Giant would have destroyed Hulk Hogan, but somehow he was able to be body slammed. That's this level of like plausible deniability.
Yeah,
right. And that's what you have to. That's how you have to view this match. Like on the streets, straight up in a club, Ronda Rousey would eat this girl for dinner. But we don't live in that world, and they have to protect their assets and their investments. And Liv Morgan is an investment. She's young, she's gorgeous, and she represents her ability to market to a specific demographic is huge for marketability for WWE. And at the end of the day, it's about dollars and cents, revenue, t-shirts, et cetera, et cetera. And listen, for guys, they're going to be watching her more. You know, I enjoy a good match, and part of the thing about WWE is the girls aren't ugly, so it helps. This match, you said it. I mean, they have to protect her. I mean, and it's reason enough for her to go 3-0 against Ronda, and you can call her wins flukes and all that. She put in work. Like, she's putting in the work to be part of this, you know, and there's something to be said about that. Now, is she a legit champion? That's the question. Like, when is she going to be able to put her big girl pants on and stop with the tears and the crocodile tears and just the outbursts and like find her zen, you know, find her like her inner warrior instead of her inner teenager. So until they find that out, there's going to be a lot of skeptics and doubters, but it doesn't give me reason to doubt enough that they're going to protect her in Extreme Rules. And I too, like I said, go and Liv Morgan. And let's not forget, Booch, that this is the 6th season of the male soap opera moment, but there's also another celebration coming up on Monday night for D Generation X, 25 years. It's amazing.
Yes.
Cooler than NWO. That's my tepid take of the week.
Well, no, NWO was founded in 96. DX came in like 97.
Well,
NWO was first historically, but DX was a lot more edgier than the NWO.
DX did it better. That's what I mean to say.
Yeah, they were a lot edgier.
They're a cool sequel.
Yes, they were cool. Like, and DX was awesome. Like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, like were pushing the envelope every week. There were times they were going to get fired. WWE was going to get canceled because they were just going over the top. And the reason they got away with it mostly was because it worked. And that's the key thing in wrestling. And I've heard them say that is that sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission, because you can go out there if you like if people say, I don't like this script, I'm going to go off it. You can go off script, but you better make sure you hit.
Yeah.
Because if you go off script and it works, you'll still get yelled at, but it won't be as bad because it got over. But if you go off script and you bomb, you're going to be out the door. So it's that's the risk you want to take. And that's why people say, like, take risks, take chances. But what people forget is when you take a risk or a chance, that means it could go bad. So just because you're taking a risk doesn't mean it's not going to go bad. It just means you're following your gut. DX did that, and that's what made it great. And then when Shawn left, Triple H, they got X-Pac out of WCW. They found the New Age Outlaws, brought them in, and Triple H had this whole new faction. China stayed and everything, and China, of course, is a big part of that. That's why I'm glad when DX went to the Hall of Fame, China went in with her. She still deserves a solo spot, and I hope she gets that one day, but at least she got to be recognized alongside DX, which is great.
China's more of a man than I'll ever be. So cheers to her. And I mean, for real, like the things that she did, most people are doing. Like whatever she was doing to do with that, like, I don't care. And I still want to understand like what was really happening between her and H, like in real life. Like how in it were they?
They were in it. They were dating for a while. They even talked about, like, you know, potentially getting a house together, according to China. And she said that because apparently, allegedly, when Triple H started getting together with Stephanie, apparently he was still with China and they were kind of seeing each other. Allegedly, again, it's alleged. I don't have any proof of this, but China says he was started seeing Stephanie while they were still together. Triple H and Stephanie denied that, and a lot of people felt that for years the reason China never went to the Hall of Fame was because of Stephanie and Triple H. And then some people said it was also her porn career might have had something to do with it, which I think Triple H mentioned that at one point, and people flooded him with hate mail for that.
Yeah,
they really do.
Yeah, because I remember Hedonistic Island or whatever DVD they put out with WWF back in the day. All of a sudden you're the right to censor Triple H. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they were saying
suck it wasn't pornographic enough. Like
exactly. I'm like, it's like, first of all, Triple H, they can Google a lot of people and find out their history.
Yeah, instantly.
I mean, trust me, there are people in the Hall of Fame with skeletons in their closets.
But everybody, that's the thing about it. It's selective. It's like, okay, which skeletons do we want to talk about? And it's like, it's unfair. Bottom line. Yeah. That's the way they're utilized.
And nobody cares that China was in porn.
Nobody cares. Look at it. It would just be like, I don't want to see her that way. I want to remember her as
you also got to keep in mind, these are the same people who had people in the Hall of Fame who posed for Playboy.
Right.
WWE literally went through a moment where almost every other month there was a WWE diva on the cover of Playboy magazine. In fact, Sable was on the cover more than it. She held the record at one point for most Playboy covers.
There you go.
Sable was all over the place with that back in the day. So to judge for that was stupid. I think eventually they realized we are going to put her in the Hall of Fame. They did it with DX. So she's being recognized as a member of D-Generation X, but hopefully someday she'll get her own solo induction for the stuff that she did, being the only woman to ever hold the Intercontinental title, the first woman to enter the King of the Ring, or before they made a Queen of the Ring, but being the 30th entrant and the Royal Rumble. one year. Like China broke a lot of records and got to. She was the only woman that rarely wrestled the women because of her build. She'd be in the ring with guys half the time.
Yeah.
And she has one reign as the women's champion. And the only reason people don't remember it is because she left soon after that title reign over money dispute. But at WrestleMania 18, she won the women's title by beating Ivory.
Wow.
That was back when Ivory was ironically, in Right to Censor. Because Ivory was in Right to Censor as the women's champion, trying to beat her at WrestleMania. That's the only women's title reign she ever had. So she technically left as the women's champion. So there was some talk of when they eventually brought the title back, I think it was the 2001 Survivor Series, and Trish Stratus won a six-pack challenge. People thought for the longest time, if they could bring China back and maybe have China and Trish for an undisputed women's champion, because China's like, for a shoot, never lost the belt.
Wow.
Because she left with the belt. Hell, Trish got to retire with the belt when she had her last match. So those are two people that have retired as champion.
Man, oh man, you will not get this level of insight. Jaw drop. Here with Vinny Kennedy Bucci, VKB in the house, at Vince Bucci on Twitter. You know, Booch, a couple things here that we'll never, ever forget to do before leaving the Male Soap Opera Movement Season 6 is say, have a nice day and
bang, bang.